Mr. Chairman, I just got a communication from the court reporter, so let me just make sure he's in.
Oh, okay. It's Doug today, is that correct?
That's correct. I see CRC Solomon, but for some reason he's saying he's not.
Okay. Mr. Executive Secretary, are we good to go?
He says he's logging on
Okay.
right now. There's some sort of IT issue.
Okay.
Sorry. He should be able to watch off the tape, so if you want to go ahead and press forward, Mr. Chairman, it'll be okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Executive Secretary.
Just a point of clarification before we start. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
Who's going to swear the witnesses?
The Executive Secretary will.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Commissioner O'Donnell. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission this Thursday, April 15th, 2021. We are conducting a hearing on the record for the Standard Offer Service Bid Monitor Consultant and Commission's technical staff to brief the Commission on the conduct of the April 12, 2021 Standard Offer Service Procurement Auction for a portion of the residential customer loads of Potomac Edison Company in conjunction with the hearing for review of Baltimore Gas and Electric's, Delmarva Power and Light Companies, and Potomac Electric Power Company's Type 2 SOS procurement results. Why don't we begin by taking appearances? Mr. Spivak, would you like to begin for staff? Mr. Spivak, you're on mute.
Thank you, Commissioner. Lloyd Spivak for the Commission staff. With me today are David Hoppeck of the Commission staff and Frank Mossberg of Bates White LLC, the Commission's consultant for the SOS bid process.
Very good, thank you. I see we have the People's Council.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, Commissioners. Joseph Cleaver on behalf of the Office of People's Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Cleaver. The Potomac Edison Company.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Jeffrey Trout, present for Potomac Edison. Also with me today is Robert Reaping.
Thank you. The Delmarva Power and Light Company.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Matthew Seegers, appearing for both Pepco and Delmarva Power. Appearing with me today is Ms. Diana Novak.
Great, thank you. And Baltimore Gas and Electric Company.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Beverly Sikora on behalf of BGE. I also have with me David Bloom.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else who wishes to make an appearance? Hearing none. Mr. Spivak, would you like to please proceed with your first witness?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commission staff calls Frank Mossberg to the stand, please.
Mr. Executive Secretary, could you please?
Mr. Mossberg, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Mr. Mossberg, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear under the penalties of perjury that the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Spivak. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Mossberg.
Good afternoon, Mr. Spivak.
Do you have in front of you a document caption in commission cases numbers 9056 and 9064 entitled Direct Testimony of Frank Mossberg, Bates White, LLC on behalf of the staff of the Public Service Commission of Maryland and dated with today's date?
I do.
Does the document consist of 8 pages of question and answer testimony and 1 exhibit?
It does.
Did you prepare this document or was it prepared under your direct supervision?
I did.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or other corrections you would like to make at this time?
I do not.
And do you adopt this testimony as your part of your sworn testimony in this proceeding?
I do.
Mr. Chairman, staff requests that Mr. Mossberg's testimony be marked as staff exhibit number 1 and moved into the evidentiary record, please.
Without objection, Mr. Mossberg's testimony is marked as staff exhibit 1 and will be moved into evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mossberg, can you please give us a brief summary of your testimony?
Certainly. Good afternoon, commissioners. Again, my name is Frank Mossberg, and I'm with Bates White. We are the monitors for this 2020-2021 Standard Offer Service RFP. We would recommend that you accept the results of this past Monday's bid day. Before I get into the reasons, I want to make 2 notes. First, as has been the case for the past few bid days, due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the bidding and bid evaluation was all conducted remotely. Bates White received all of the bids, and only after the close of the bidding window did we distribute the bids to the utilities. Second, and again, consistent with the practice of the last couple bid days, we still do not have a price for capacity from PJM for periods after June 2022. So we used a proxy price, and bidders will pay or will be paid a true-up as actual capacity costs are incurred. As I noted, we would recommend that you accept the results of this past Monday's bid day, and I say so for 4 reasons. First, the bidding was open, fair, and transparent. All bidders, including utility affiliates, offered the same products, and the winners were simply those who offered the lowest price. Second, prices were consistent with broader market conditions. There were no bids rejected due to the implementation of the price anomaly threshold, or PAT. Third, this was a competitive procurement. A couple of numbers that I can share publicly. First, there were 13 bidders as compared to 11 last October. I'm comparing to last October because that's the last time we saw a similar selection or suite of products. The January bid had fewer residential supply or products on offer. Second, we had 7 winners as opposed to 8 winners in October, still a good number of winners. And finally, we had 5.2 megawatts offered for every megawatt needed. The ratio in October was 4.8 to 1. Finally, there were no violations of the RFP rules or of any commission orders. The entire process ran smoothly and ran without incident. With that, I'd be happy to take your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mossberg. Do any commissioners have questions for Mr. Mossberg? Hearing or seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Mossberg. You are excused.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Spivak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The commission staff calls David Hoppick to the stand, please.
Mr. Hoppick, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear under the penalties of perjury that the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Spivak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Hoppick.
Good afternoon.
Do you have in front of you a document captioned in commission case numbers 9056 and 9064 entitled the Commission Staff's Report on the Standard Offer Service Bidding Process and Results for 2021 through 2023 and dated with today's date?
I do.
Does the document consist of 15 pages of information presented in both text and table form?
It does.
Did you prepare this document or was it prepared under your direct supervision?
I did.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or other corrections you would like to make at this time?
I do not.
And do you adopt this document as part of your sworn testimony in this proceeding?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, staff requests that the staff report be marked as Staff Exhibit 2 and further moves that it be admitted into the evidentiary record.
Without objection, Mr. Hoppeck's staff report is marked as Staff Exhibit number 2 and will be moved into evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hoppeck, can you please give us a brief summary of the staff report?
Certainly. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. As Mr. Spivak said, I will provide a brief overview of staff's report of the estimated bill impacts of the standard offer service bidding conducted on April 12th, 2021. SOS bids were received for residential type 1 and type 2 service. I will begin with residential. Please turn to page 1 of staff's report. The bill impact estimates for residential compare average estimated bills from June 2020 to May 2021 to June 2021 to May 2022. A summary of the estimated average residential bill impacts are provided on page 1. I will now turn to the individual utilities. Please turn to page 3. For Potomac Edison, please note that Potomac Edison bids 1 year in advance of the other utilities for residential and type 1. Thus, estimated average bill impacts are compared from June 2021 to May 2022 to June 2022 to May 2023. For Potomac Edison, the average residential bill will decrease 4.1%, which translates to $59 per year. And the SOS portion of the bill is decreasing 7.4%. Please turn to page 4 for Potomac Electric Power Company, or PEPCO. Again, we are comparing estimated average bills from June 2020 to May 2021 to June 2021 to May 2022. Average residential bills are increasing 4.9%, which translates to $75 per year. The SOS portion of the bill is increasing 10.7%. Please turn to page 5 for Delmarva Power and Light. Average residential bills for Delmarva are increasing 0.5%, which translates to $9 per year. The SOS portion of the bill is increasing 1.1%. Please turn to page 6 for Baltimore Gas and Electric. For BGE, average residential bills are increasing 4.8%, which translates to $74 per year. And the SOS portion of the bill is increasing 10.7%. Please turn to page 7 for type 1 estimated average bill impacts. This shows increases for PEPCO, Delmarva, and BGE. PE did not conduct type 1 bidding during this round. Next, I will turn to type 2 estimated average bill impacts. Please turn to page 8 of staff's report. These estimated bill impacts compare estimated bills from June through August 2020 to June through August 2021. Additionally, a comparison of the SOS rates from spring to summer is provided. Please turn to page 11 for Potomac Edison. Average bills for summer 2021 increase from 12 to 16% from summer 2020, and SOS rates are increasing approximately 19% from spring to summer. Please turn to page 12 for BGE. Average bills for summer 2021 are increasing 17% relative to summer 2020. SOS rates are increasing 11 to 15% from spring to summer. Please turn to page 13 for Delmarva. For Delmarva, average bills from summer 2021 are increasing 9 to 13% from summer 2020. SOS rate changes range from approximately no change to an 11% increase from spring to summer. Finally, please turn to page 14 for PEPCO. And for PEPCO, average bills for summer 2021 increased 2 to 3% from summer 2020. SOS rates are increasing 11% from spring to summer. This concludes my summary.
Mr. Chairman, I think you're on mute.
Airplane was going over. Thank you, Mr. Spivak. First, I guess you probably didn't hear, do commissioners have questions for Mr. Hopick? Seeing none. Okay, Mr. Hopick, you are excused. Mr. Spivak, do you have anything further?
No, Mr. Chairman, that concludes staff's presentation.
Does any other party wish to be heard in this hearing? Hearing or seeing none. Thank you very much. This hearing is concluded.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.